Developing right now on Morning News Now, the cost of war. This morning, another wave of strikes across the Mideast as the war with Iran stretches past the 2-week mark. Now, Iran targeting tankers along the Strait of Hormuz, effectively halting a fifth of the world's oil supply, as President Trump calls on allies to help reopen the critical waterway.
Strait of Hormuz safe for shipping right now, Mr. Secretary?
No, it is not. That's one of the objectives at the end of this conflict is to reopen the Straits of Hormuz. That's going to be an increasing focus of our military going forward.
We'll have the latest on the war and its impacts here at home. Also this morning, a whiteout in the Midwest. Millions of people digging out from a powerful storm that brought blinding blizzard conditions and nearly 2 feet of snow to some areas, causing major problems for travelers over the weekend. And it's not over yet. Our Angie Lastman is out in the elements. She's going to tell us what to expect for the work week ahead. Plus, birthing benefits. More moms-to-be turning to doulas for care during pregnancy and childbirth. Well, now one major insurer is expanding coverage to help cover that cost. A look at the shift that could impact millions of families. And history on Hollywood's biggest night. That's right, last night's Oscars. One for the record books with first-time wins for some familiar faces. We will have the highlights, including the biggest winners, snubs, and surprises, and even a rare tie. You stayed up, yes?
It started an hour earlier, which whoever's idea that was, you're awesome. So good to have you with us on this Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thank you for starting your week with us. We are going to begin this Monday morning with the ongoing war with Iran as the conflict stretches into its 3rd week. Well, this weekend, the 6 U.S. crew members who died when their military refueling plane crashed in Iraq early Friday morning were publicly identified. With their deaths confirmed, 12 U.S. service personnel have now been killed since this war began on February 28th, as well as a 13th service member who died of a medical issue.
This morning, Iran continues to threaten shipping in that critical Strait of Hormuz, and that is creating chaos in the global energy markets. The price of crude oil once again jumped over $100 a barrel on Sunday. Both allies and rivals of the U.S., including China and France, reacted cautiously after President Trump said that they should help police and protect the Strait of Hormuz. And U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright told NBC News on Sunday that there is a very good chance gas prices could drop below $3 a gallon by the summer. He's predicting that in a few more weeks, the U.S. will have removed Iran's grip on global energy supplies. Gas prices were averaging $2.95 a gallon in the U.S. on March 1st, the day after the war began. On Saturday, Gas Buddy says they were averaging $3.70. We have a team of correspondents and analysts joining us this morning to help break down the latest, including the war's impact on gas prices and the political fallout in Washington. NBC News correspondent Matt Bradley joins from Tel Aviv with much more. Matt, good morning. We know Israeli Defense Forces say they hit more than 200 targets across western and central Iran this weekend. That includes command centers, defense systems, weapon production sites. Did Iran return fire, and just what is the latest on the ground where you are in Israel?
Yeah, we've been hearing about Iran returning fire. And in fact, we know because, of course, we hear these sirens regularly, including just this morning, starting our day off. You know, we have heard these sirens with some regularity ever since.
And it sounds like we're having some technical audio issues with Matt Bradley right now. We will see if we can get him back in just a moment and continue our coverage here.
Let's get to the growing economic fallout from the war with Iran. Oil and gas prices continue to soar across the U.S. as Iranian leaders have vowed to keep the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed. On Sunday's Meet the Press, Energy Secretary Chris Wright warned that Americans can expect to feel pain at the pump, quote, for a few more weeks, as long as the strait remains under threat from Iran. Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker has more from that conversation. Kristen, good morning.
Hello there, Joe and Savannah. This week on Meet the Press, I spoke with Energy Secretary Chris Wright about how long the war with Iran will last. You say a few more weeks. Are you suggesting this war could be over, will be over in a few more weeks?
I think that's the likely time frame, yes. I think the president came out early on saying he expected the need for 4 to 6 weeks to completely defang Iran's military capabilities. We started focused on the projection of distant power. So their Navy's been destroyed. Their Air Force has been destroyed. Their long-range missiles have been destroyed. Their ability to construct and build long-term missiles has been destroyed. And the effort continues now on more of their short-term threats, short-range missiles, drones. The military performance has been outstanding, but it's just critical for the world and critical for the United States that we remove this just growing threat from Iran, defying their ability to rain terror on their neighbors and the world.
You can see my full interview and a whole lot more at MeetThePress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press right here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
Thank you, Kristen. Well, for more on this from Washington, let's bring in NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz. Megan, good morning. So we just heard there from the Energy Secretary about this potential time frame for this war, but we've heard shifting messages about that from the administration. What is President Trump saying about the possibility of making some kind of deal to end the war?
Yeah, good morning. President Trump said in an interview with our colleague Kristen Welker over the weekend that Iran wants to make a deal, but that he doesn't want to make a deal yet because he said that the terms are not good enough yet. Now, he said in the interview, asked about the terms needed to create a deal in order to end the war. He declined to say, but he agreed that any deal in order to end the war would need a commitment from Iran in order for it to abandon its nuclear ambitions. Now, President Trump also discussed his views on a potential deal with reporters last night on Air Force One. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I don't know that I want to make a deal because, you know what? First of all, nobody even knows who you're dealing with because most of their leadership has been killed, as you know. So I don't even know that we want to make a deal.
Is that right? You mentioned that Iran's military.
They want to make a deal badly.
I do want to note, though, in a separate interview with CBS, Iran's foreign minister appeared to contradict the president, saying that Iran has not asked for a ceasefire and that Iran hasn't asked for negotiations either, Joe and Savannah.
Gas prices are up across the country. We mentioned earlier and heard Secretary Wright saying Americans can expect these prices to remain high for, quote, a few more weeks. What else are we hearing from the administration when it comes to these rising costs?
Yeah, President Trump did not seem too concerned about long-term gas prices in his interview with Kristen Welker, where he said that he ultimately expects gas prices to go lower to what they were previously, and that he also wasn't concerned about gas prices and the impact that they could potentially have on the midterm elections. Also, during that interview with Kristen, he said that there's a lot of oil and gas out there, but he said, quote, it's being clogged up a little bit. It'll be unclogged very soon. Now, at the same time, we're seeing a rise in oil prices because of the war impacting the Strait of Hormuz and the shipping route. Now, President Trump addressed this, as you can see on the screen, in a post to Truth Social, where he said that many countries will send warships in order to keep the strait open and that the U.S. would continue bombing Iran's shoreline. But he declined to name the countries ultimately that he said made a commitment in order to keep the strait open during that interview with Kristen Welker. He also last night with reporters said that he could not name those countries yet because it was a little early, guys.
Megan, FCC Chair Brendan Carr is facing growing backlash this morning. This is because over the weekend he threatened to revoke broadcasters' licenses over what he's calling news distortions of coverage of the war with Iran. What can you tell us on this?
Yeah, so FCC Chair Brendan Carr over the weekend, as you mentioned, he threatened broadcasters' licenses, saying in that post to X that broadcasters must operate in the public interest and they will lose their licenses if they do not. Now, in that post, he also shared a post from President Trump criticizing media coverage of the war in Iran. Last night, we also heard from President Trump on this in a post to Truth Social, where he said he was thrilled about Carr looking at broadcasters' licenses. Now, as you can see on your screen, this got a lot of pushback. The comments from Brendan Carr over the weekend from Democratic lawmakers, you can see a couple of those where Senator Elizabeth Warren said that this is straight out of the authoritarian playbook. Senator Chris Murphy said we aren't on the verge of a totalitarian takeover. We are in the middle of it. And Senator Michael Bennet said that this was a direct attack on the free press in the United States. So this is something that we're going to be continuing to monitor fallout from in the days ahead as we start to hear more from lawmakers on Capitol Hill and see ultimately if Brendan Carr does move forward with trying to suspend broadcasters' license here, guys.
All right, Megan, thank you.
And overnight oil prices continue to climb higher as the war with Iran shows no signs of ending. The international benchmark cost of crude oil now more than $100 a barrel. That's despite efforts by the Trump administration and its allies to slow down those rising prices.
Americans are feeling that spike at the gas pump, with prices expected to soar even higher this week. According to AAA, the national average right now is more than $3.70 per gallon. That is up almost 80 cents from a month ago.
Caleb Silver is here to break down the potential economic impacts. He is the editor-in-chief of Investopedia and chief business editor at People Inc. Caleb, good to have you with us. So oil again topping $100 a barrel. Markets about to open for another week. How critical of a moment is this for the U.S. economy? And if you're a business, just how do you plan in this environment?
Great question, because businesses and everybody that buys oil always buys it in the future. Oil trades 23 hours a day, 6 days a week. So you're always buying future oil. If you're a small business or even if you're a manufacturer or an airline, you're buying oil into the future. So as they stay at high prices, you're going to end up paying higher prices, which get passed on to the consumer. And that inflation leads to slower growth and potentially a recession. We've seen it over and over again in history.
We've talked a lot about the impact that we're seeing when it comes to oil and gas because of these complications in the Strait of Hormuz. Where might we see that next? What other things might get more expensive, and what kind of impact does this have more broadly on the U.S. economy?
Yeah, you're seeing it in airline prices already. And United Airlines CEO is saying these high prices mean higher prices for our passengers, and that means we're going to pay more every time we fly. But you also got to think about the derivatives, plastics and chemicals, jet fuel, obviously, that comes from that as well. So everything that makes its way through the supply chain is going to be impacted by this, including food. It's not just what comes through the Strait of Hormuz, it's what has to go around the world in different ways because it can't come through the Strait.
We talk about the Fed Reserve meeting. I would say it's on Wednesday. You would say it's
2 hours, 6 days, and 50 minutes.
All right. Very good. What exactly are we looking for here? What are they expected to do considering everything in this environment? And I assume more than anything, as Jerome Powell gets prepared to step away from his role, we're listening to what he has to say.
Yeah, he got a little bit of a reprieve with the district judge saying he can't be subpoenaed for the rebuild there. But the Fed is not going to do anything because of all this uncertainty. The Fed is facing this rising inflation due to both tariffs and these rising oil prices and the fact that the labor market's slowing. No moves by the Fed come this Wednesday. 100% chance the president will not like that at all.
All right. Caleb Silver, a lot to cover this morning. Appreciate having you with us. Thank you so much.
Let's get now to the extreme weather that is hitting the country. I mean, just one extreme end to the other. In Hawaii, a powerful Pacific storm has caused major flooding throughout the islands. In Maui, a couple watched as their home collapsed into the river after the land underneath it was eroded away by fast-moving floodwaters. And on the island of Oahu, farmers were finally able to rescue their horses and other animals that had been trapped for several days by the flooding.
Back here on the mainland, strong storms swept through the Midwest Sunday afternoon. That brought powerful winds, knocking out power to thousands of homes and businesses across the region. It also triggered tornado warnings throughout parts of Missouri. And the upper Midwest is getting pummeled with blizzard conditions as a late season winter storm sweeps across the region. In South Dakota, snow was falling at almost 4 inches an hour. That combined with 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, creating whiteout conditions across much of the state.
NBC meteorologist Andrea Romero is standing by with your complete forecast. But first, our own Angie Lastman is out in the elements. She's in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's currently under a blizzard warning. She joins us with the latest. Angie, thank you very much for being out there for us. So just tell us, what's it like? I mean, we're 4 days from the start of spring. That's not what it looks like on the ground there.
Yeah, anything for you guys. I will even go to multiple inches of snow in March to cover this for you. We've got, of course, a winter wonderland ongoing in Green Bay, as you mentioned, still under a blizzard warning. That's going to last through the day today. And there's no sign of this snow kind of stopping. You can see just how much is on the ground, piles and piles of it. Yesterday, we picked up 17.8 inches of snow in one single day. That is the most that we've had in Green Bay in 137 years. So it's not just any regular snowstorm, even this late in the season for folks in Green Bay. And that's not the only thing that has been going on with this storm system. On the warm side of it, it's the severe storms. We saw multiple strong storms picking up yesterday. The tornadoes potentially still on the table today, but incredible video yesterday from Arkansas. And on top of that, some strong winds piling up multiple vehicles from a dust storm in Texas. This all ongoing through the day today. today, guys, as well. We're going to continue to see the potential for additional snow in this area, still multiple inches to come across parts of the Midwest. And on top of that, of course, we'll still have that severe threat as that storm system works to the east. Folks from the mid-Atlantic to the Carolinas on tap for the potential there. So we are far from over when it comes to this storm system, causing a whole lot of delays. Yesterday, O'Hare reporting nearly 6-hour delays. Atlanta now has a ground stop, and we have the additional aspect of this storm system, which is power outages for more than 500,000 people. So multiple impacts and still a long way to go.
So,
guys.
Angie, I lived and worked in Green Bay a quarter century ago. First, I have a restaurant recommendation I'll be sending your way. But I know you've been in Wisconsin since Saturday. People there, they're used to the snow. They're used to the cold. That's part of living in Wisconsin. But still, it's mid-March. It's like this. You've been chatting with people. What's the mood like there?
Yeah, I think the mood, you can imagine, is that they're ready for some warmer weather. But you're right, Joe. They expect this kind of snow here, but this was even more impressive than what they typically get in Green Bay in a single snowstorm. We have talked to a lot of folks that have said that they're so ready for spring, but of course they were preparing for this storm system just like they prepared all winter long. But now they're ready to maybe see some leaves on the trees and be able to see the sidewalk and stop shoveling, I suppose.
That sounds nice. All right, Angie, we'll see you back here.
But in the meantime, we got snowballs.
There you go.
Okay, we'll see you from the warmth of the studio soon. Thanks, Angie.
Snowballs instead of leaves. All right, let's bring in meteorologist Andrea Romero for more on what we can expect now moving forward.
Yes, system. Got our morning news now. Weather, Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. And this storm continues to impact the country with those damaging conditions, especially when we're talking about severe weather. In fact, we can see these severe thunderstorm watches and warning and severe tornado watches and warnings that are extending across this area. And we do have a tornado warning right now south of Atlanta in Georgia. We're talking about Pike County, Upson, Lamar County right now until 7:30. So you want to make sure you take cover in those areas. And today you want to make sure you have a way to receive those weather alerts because we're expecting these conditions to stretch all across the eastern part of the country. We're tracking these strong and long tornadoes that will be bringing wind gusts of over 75 miles per hour, and even damaging hail is possible with these systems. So we're looking at likely wind event damage across all this area with these fast moving squall lines producing these intense wind gusts. And of course, we're talking about 136 million people that will be impacted with these wind advisories, high wind watches and warnings that will be extending across the country. Right now, we're looking through early tomorrow, peak wind gusts of over 46 miles per hour in New York, 40 miles per hour in Raleigh, 35 miles per hour in Atlanta. So it's not only the winds, but also the wintry weather that we're seeing in parts of the Great Lakes, over Michigan, over Wisconsin. 30 million people are still under these winter alerts throughout the day today. We're still expecting perhaps over a foot of snow that can fall in parts of Michigan. As we can see here, this additional snowfall total that we're expecting through tomorrow as the storm continues to move on eastward. The tornadoes could be strong, mostly along the mid-Atlantic. That's where the bullseye will probably be with this tornadic activity. And of course, the snow will be lingering in the Great Lakes into the Appalachians as well into tomorrow. We're expecting the windy conditions to be over the lake, over the Great Lakes, with those lake effect snow bands likely to set up across the region, leaving us a little bit of snow. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, we're dealing with record-breaking temperatures. It's actually a heat wave that's impacting that area. We're expecting these temperatures to continue throughout the week, extending westward into the Rockies, into the south and central parts of the plains. And we can see those temperatures in the 80s, even 90s in parts of Vegas, into the desert southwest, into parts of Southern California. Over 38 million people will be impacted throughout this week with these heat alerts. So it's like two parts. We're seeing the two faces across the country with the wintry weather, the severe storms, and the record heat. So we'll be tracking it all.
The red carpet last night at the Oscars, the celebrities were melting. You could see them melting on the red carpet.
It really was.
Thanks, Andrea. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, even though Elon Musk is no longer part of the Trump administration, his Department of Government Efficiency is once again in the spotlight. Newly released videos of depositions given by former staffers in a civil suit earlier this year have now gone viral online. NBC News correspondent Julie Sirkin shows us how they defended DOJ's efforts to reduce federal spending by cutting funds from what they labeled as DEI programs.
Former employees of Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency in the hot seat.
You don't regret that people might have lost important income to support their lives?
No.
Deposition videos from January tied to a civil lawsuit going viral online. Lawyers asked former DOJ staffer Justin Fox about projects flagged as diversity, equity, and inclusion, including a documentary about Jewish women forced into slave labor during the Holocaust.
It's specifically focused on Jewish cultures and amplifying the marginalized voices of the females in that culture. It's inherently related to DEI for those reasons.
Fox said he used ChatGPT to help identify and eliminate DEI programs. The depositions are part of a lawsuit filed by humanities groups that say DOJ violated the First Amendment by canceling more than 1,400 grants used to fund arts, history, and education projects. On Friday, the judge ordered the groups to remove the videos they posted. The government said Fox was harassed and received death threats because of them. The groups filed an emergency request to reconsider, but it was denied, and a hearing is set for this Tuesday. NBC News obtained the videos from the Internet Archive, and Musk even amplified one of the clips on X. In one video, former staffer Nathan Kavanaugh said their goal was cutting spending.
I think it was more important to reduce the federal deficit from $2 trillion to close to zero.
Did you reduce the federal deficit?
No, we didn't.
Before DOJ ceased to exist and Musk's relationship with President Trump ended in a public feud, the agency claimed $150 to $180 billion in savings, far short of eliminating the deficit. Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
It was a history-making night in Hollywood at the 98th Academy Awards. And for Oscar frontrunner One Battle After Another, it was one win after another. The action-fueled political thriller taking home 6 trophies, including the big prize, Best Picture, plus directing and casting, which was a new category this year.
And Sinners, which made Oscar history with 16 nominations, followed with 4 wins, including Michael B. Jordan for Best Actor and for cinematography. Autumn Durald-Arkapaw is the first woman and the first person of color to win in that category. And Billy Crystal delivered an emotional tribute to his best friend, Rob Reiner, and his wife, Michelle, as part of the In Memoriam segment.
Some incredible tributes last night during the Oscars. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, let the madness begin. That's right, college hoops fans. It's time to lock in those brackets. March Madness is almost here, so we're going to have the highlights from Selection Sunday, including some new underdogs that could bust some brackets.
Up first, though, after the break, terrifying moments on a New York City sidewalk, all caught on camera. 2 women are recovering now after being hit by an out-of-control taxi. What we are learning from officials next. We are back with a terrifying crash that happened right here in New York City over the weekend. 2 pedestrians were struck by an out-of-control taxi cab while standing on the sidewalk, and the whole incident was caught on camera. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has the details, and we must warn you, the video is disturbing.
Scary moments in New York City when an out-of-control taxi cab slams into 2 women standing on a sidewalk. The crash happening on a sunny Saturday afternoon. The pedestrians stopping at that particular spot on the sidewalk, lingering there for less than 30 seconds before the cab jumps the curb. According to one witness, the impact tossed one woman to the ground and threw the other down through cellar doors into the store's basement.
Her friend said, "Have you saw my friend?" So we tried calling her name, and then we heard a little whisper, "I'm right here, I'm right here." You couldn't even see her underneath the cab from this side.
Witnesses rushing in to help.
It was crazy, bro. Like, everybody's running, panicking.
The crash damaging the storefront and flower stand. Miraculously, police say both women were taken to the hospital and are expected to be okay, along with the driver and 2 passengers in the cab.
We had no idea what happened, and then came out. We saw someone was on the ground. We saw someone was under the car.
The crash is still under investigation.
walking in Manhattan, no. It's crazy.
A weekend stroll no one could have predicted. Valerie Castro, NBC News.
Health officials are issuing a warning about a potentially life-threatening infection, and the cause is buried underground in nearly half the U.S. At least one person has died in Tennessee because of a soil-borne fungus. It has triggered dozens of infections across the region. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park spoke to one person about what causes it and how it spreads.
In the rapidly growing suburbs around Nashville, Tennessee, an unlikely danger has been unearthed.
When bulldozers come in and they turn over the soil, that germ gets lifted up from the soil, gets into the air, and then we breathe it in.
That microscopic fungus causes an infection called histoplasmosis, histo for short. At least 36 people have been sickened so far in Middle Tennessee. And one family says for them, it turned deadly.
I was probably in shock the first month, and then it's just been hitting me more. You know, it was my baby.
Gwendolyn Brown says her 39-year-old daughter Alicia had just moved outside Nashville last August. Not long after, she started getting sick.
Just feeling like no energy, so fatigued, and just really just in general feeling terrible all over.
After several doctor's visits and no relief, a trip to the ER finally revealed the cause, histoplasmosis. Days later, Alicia was gone.
Did you know what histoplasmosis was prior to this?
Oh, no, never heard of it before. But when I did see it and I read up on it and I read the symptoms of it, that's when I thought that sounded like what my daughter was complaining of.
According to the CDC, the fungus itself is most likely to live in nearly half the country. At the center of this outbreak, spores are getting stirred up into the air across multiple counties as construction booms. And once inhaled, they can infect the lungs.
So playing outside, playing sports outside, involved in construction or lawn maintenance or any sort of time spent outside, that's certainly a risk factor in this area of the country.
Symptoms are similar to the flu: fever, cough, fatigue, and chills. For most, the infection is mild and treatable, but in rare cases, among the immunocompromised, the infection can become life-threatening. Gwendolyn says Alicia did have an underlying condition, and while she waits for autopsy results, she urges others to speak up if something feels wrong.
Ask to be tested, and if you get pushback, push back.
Kathy Park, NBC News, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Coming up on Morning News Now, one major insurance company expanding coverage for moms-to-be.
Being a doula, you were worried about the cost, that it felt expensive. And then insurance came into the picture. How did that change things?
We were like, oh, okay, this is possible, and we don't have to debate as much.
When we return, more on the move that many say is overdue. We'll be right back.
We are back with a big shift in maternity care as more expectant mothers turn to doulas for support during pregnancy and childbirth. A doula is a trained professional who offers support to moms before, during, and after the baby arrives. Now, for the first time, one of the nation's largest insurers is helping to cover that cost.
Studies show doulas can help improve birth outcomes and reduce complications, and the new benefit could expand access for thousands of families. NBC News Daily anchor Zincle Esamoah takes a look at what's driving the change.
I feel something over here.
When 33-year-old Natalia Marin Torres first got pregnant,
We were excited, but kind of nervous for the whole situation.
the first-time mom and Colombia native didn't feel heard at her initial doctor's appointments, so she sought the help of a doula.
Feel like where the hardness is and where it kind of stops.
Oh, wow.
Right there? Okay.
Yep.
Doulas are trained non-clinical professionals who can support parents before, during, and after birth. Natalia's doula, Alexia Franco-Pedersen, has done this work in Minneapolis for 12 years, spending her days stocking up on supplies, making home-cooked meals, and being on call 24/7, all for her clients.
When healthcare systems are stretching nurses and doctors to maybe not be able to learn all the details of someone's life during, a 15-minute prenatal appointment, then doulas are able to learn more about those things, provide them extra resources, amplify their voice.
But that work comes at a cost. Doula care can cost thousands of dollars and is typically not covered by insurance. Until now, United Healthcare offering a first-time nationwide doula benefit this year through employer-sponsored plans, including multiple pre- or postnatal appointments, plus the entire birth.
We believe that doula care is a critical part of
the care model that will improve healthcare outcomes for women.
Multiple studies show that doulas can decrease preterm births, emergency C-sections, and postpartum anxiety and depression.
So why move on this in 2026?
I think when we look at the maternal health data, we potentially should have moved on this much earlier. And it was a learning journey.
There's not necessarily one type of certification a doula in the United States can get. So how is UHC determining who's considered a doula and who's not?
So you are correct. There are multiple training programs to support doulas. We are encouraging women as part of this to use doulas who have gone through various forms of training.
At least 26 states require Medicaid coverage for doulas. 4 states already mandate private insurers do the same, and some employers offer fertility benefits with doula care. But United Healthcare's new policy is expanding coverage to more than 250,000 people nationwide.
Oftentimes people think like doulas are a luxury. Doulas are a health equity intervention.
As the first of its kind benefit now takes hold, many are hoping the coverage will continue to expand.
When you first thought about getting a doula, you were worried about the cost, that it felt expensive. And then insurance came into the picture. How did that change things?
We were like, oh, okay, this is possible and we don't have to debate as much. Is it worth it? It's not. Can we do it by ourselves?
You could focus on the care and not the cost.
Yeah.
Zinclea Samoa, NBC News, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
For more on this, let's bring in NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. Dr. Patel, always great to have you with us. So we just heard their doulas don't necessarily have any clinical training, but tell us more about the kind of support that they can provide and how it's different from what you'd get from a doctor or a midwife.
Yes, that's right, Savannah. So doulas don't have any formal medical training. Let's contrast that with obstetrics, gynecologists, certified nurse midwives, which you commonly do hear about for all of the kind of birth-like related services. Those certified nurse midwives, doctors obviously have medical training, master's degrees or higher. And doulas don't have that advanced medical training, and they really are there, as you heard from Zinclea's reporting, for emotional support. But they do often have like a process that they go to get a certificate so that they can help to prepare you emotionally and mentally and understand what to expect and advocate for your birthing preferences. But they do not provide any clinical care during or around the labor process.
So we heard the United Healthcare doctor there call this a learning journey, which begs the question, what have we learned? I mean, what does the data show us about the impact that doulas can have on pregnancy and also on just the birth outcomes?
Yeah, the data is incredible. And this is why I think you saw United, along with other insurers, considering this. So first of all, shorter labor, as you're seeing here on the screen, decreased need for pain medications. I've personally seen patients that actually did not necessarily kind of know which way they would go, C-section or different vaginal birth, and they've actually had less C-section rates in certain states, as well as reduced anxiety and stress, which I can't stress enough that alone is enough of a reason. But this is one of many building United States-based studies with a lot of global studies that we have to show improved outcomes.
The fact that there's like this specific clinical training, and Zinclea also pointed out that there's no single standard for certification here, it seems like it could be kind of tough to know how well they're going to do with this job, if they're qualified. I mean, what should expectant mothers know and look for when choosing a doula?
All right, so there are 3 things that I tell mothers to look for when choosing a doula. Number 1, it's always wonderful if you can get kind of a recommendation from your OBGYN. Many OBGYNs have a list or do work with organizations like DONA or International Family and Children to actually offer some names. If you're in an OBGYN practice or you're even trying to just prep in advance, I would just say interview. So number 2, sit down, talk to the doulas. You can usually do a pretty quick phone or Zoom interview to understand their experience. And then number 3, you really do want to look for that kind of personal chemistry. This is someone who really needs to advocate for you and your birth preferences. So they really should be someone who's listening to what your preferences are and don't impose any other sort of preferences on you. And that can come out sometimes in those early stages. But those 3 can help you find a high quality doula. And then states have different laws about allowing doulas into the hospital. Ask about that so that you know and don't get surprised when you need to make that trip to the hospital.
Dr. Kavita Patel, great to have you. As always, good info. Thank you.
Thanks.
Coming up, turbulence before takeoff. Airline executives now calling on Congress to end that month-long shutdown. causing major delays at airports nationwide.
When we come back, an update on the funding fight as TSA workers miss their first full paycheck. You're watching Morning News Now.
We're back now with an urgent plea from America's top airline executives over that ongoing partial government shutdown, which is causing chaos at some major airports from coast to coast. Those airlines are calling on Congress to restore funding to the Department of Homeland Security. Right now, travelers are facing long lines and heavy delays at checkpoints while TSA workers miss their first full paycheck. NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist has the latest.
Travel trauma impacting airports across the country. Passengers recording long lines at TSA pre-checks from Austin to Philly and similar scenes from Houston to Atlanta.
It's crazy. I'm really disappointed.
It is stressful for sure. And even more stressful for the people who aren't getting paid and are at work.
After TSA workers got a $0 paycheck on Friday, the major airlines now ratcheting up pressure on Congress to reopen the Department of Homeland Security. The CEOs writing in a letter, Americans who live in your districts and home states are tired of long lines at airports, travel delays, and flight cancellations caused by shutdown after shutdown. In the month since DHS funding lapsed, more than 300 TSA agents have quit, many of the remaining agents calling out and picking up odd jobs to make ends meet. The Transportation Secretary calling on Democrats to end their protest over immigration enforcement and vote to restore Homeland Security dollars.
We can get to a better place if they would just come to their senses and negotiate after they open it up.
The airlines predicting a record 171 million passengers will fly this spring and are asking lawmakers to approve a bill protecting TSA worker pay in future shutdowns. Meanwhile, security lines snake in and outside the Fort Lauderdale airport and all through ATL, with travelers doing their best to fly above the chaos.
I just appreciate those that are still with TSA remaining on the job, so I can wait.
Now, the Atlanta airport is telling people to check its website for TSA wait times because the TSA app is also shut down, and to be safe, to get here 3 hours early. There's also big news from Southwest Airlines. It is ending service at two major airports, Chicago O'Hare and Dulles International, in early June. Back to you.
All right, Aaron, thank you.
More money news now. Violence in the Middle East has the markets on their heels. Even Bitcoin is struggling to make heads or tails of it all.
NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch is here with your Money Minute. Emily, good morning.
Good morning, guys. The real question here, are we going to see a Bitcoin comeback? And if so, when? The cryptocurrency has mostly been trading between $60,000 and $75,000 this year, despite brief rallies. And it's down more than 40% from its high in October. For now, it seems there's interest elsewhere. With the conflict in the Middle East, crude oil is surging, aluminum's at a high, and gold has held relatively steady. Over in the streaming world, if you pay for ad-free Prime Video, your monthly bill is about to go up. Amazon is increasing the price from $2.99 to $4.99 per month, also renaming the tier to Prime Video Ultra. The plan will also now be the only one with access to 4K video and will allow for streaming on up to 5 devices at a time. In theaters, Pixar has a hit with its new film Hoppers. The movie stayed at #1 in its second weekend, bringing in almost $29 million at the domestic box office, and it's become the top-grossing animated film of the year so far. The romantic Reminders of Him came in ahead of expectations in #2 with more than $18 million, and the horror film Undertone swooped in at #3, bringing in more than $9 million. Anything on your list, guys? I'm thinking about Reminders of Him, another Colleen Hoover book made into a movie, and I know there was so much controversy with It Ends With Us, so I'm excited to check that one out.
This one's a little quieter. not so much drama behind the scenes.
Little's an understatement, yeah.
Right.
I'm very behind. I still need to see Wuthering Heights.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, coming up, it was one win after another at last night's Oscars.
When we come back, we're going to have highlights from Hollywood's biggest night, including some historic wins, some surprises, and of course, the snubs as we wrap up an exciting award season. So get your popcorn ready. Morning News Now. We'll be right back. Finally this hour, we want to get to more of the biggest stories from last night's 98th Academy Awards, which were held at the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles.
They were hosted by Conan O'Brien, and they featured all the glitz and glamour you'd expect. The ceremony featured not only a new category, but also several historic wins.
Lots to get into, so let's bring in Eric Davis, correspondent for Fandango and Rotten Tomatoes. Good to have you with us. Obviously, the big headline, one battle after another, was the favorite all award season. Takes home 6 trophies. Best Picture, also an inaugural award that it wasn't supposed to win. That was a little bit of a surprise. Walk us through their big night.
Yeah, it took the Best Casting Award for the first time. I think it was a bit of an underdog to Sinners. Sinners had won the Best Cast Award at the Actor Awards, and so that was a big win. Yeah, it led all films with it, 6 wins. I think coming into Oscar night, it was a favorite for Best Picture and Best Director, especially. It took those awards. And, you know, I think not only because One Battle After Another is a phenomenal film, but I think there was also a sense of Paul Thomas Anderson is due. A lot of people wanted him to win for his film There Will Be Blood. He did not win. And so I think, you know, this was his year. And it was great to see Sean Penn also winning.
Well, we didn't see Sean Penn.
Sean Penn not there, but he did pick up his 3rd Oscar for Best Supporting Actor.
Sinners, though, had the most nominations, but then second in wins. What did it win, and what are people saying?
Yeah, 4 wins out of the 16, but I would argue that 3 of them are groundbreaking, historic wins. You know, start with Best Original Screenplay for Ryan Coogler, only the 2nd black man in history to win that Oscar behind Jordan Peele, who won for Get Out. A big win for Coogler. Really happy to see him. And then, of course, his partner in crime, his longtime collaborator, Michael B. Jordan, winning for Best Actor. Keep in mind, Ryan Coogler's first ever film, Fruitvale Station, starred Michael B. Jordan. Jordan has starred in almost every single Ryan Coogler directed movie. These guys have been best friends for a long time. To see them both take home Oscars was great. And then Best Cinematographer, the woman who won for that, Autumn Durald Arkapaw, first woman in history to win Best Cinematographer. Also, first woman of color to win this award. First woman to make a feature film in large formats like IMAX 65mm and Ultra Panavision 70. So just a historic night all around for Sinners, I think.
Have those two been working together a while, that Coogler and the cinematography? Has that been a pairing, or is this their first time? Do you know?
I believe this is their first time.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
it works.
Yes, but it definitely worked.
Another first golden from K-pop Demon Hunters. Probably now stuck in your head that I've even said it. Winning for Best Song. Let's play a little bit from the composer EJ first during their speech.
Growing up, you know, people made fun of me liking K-pop, but now everyone's singing our song and all the Korean lyrics. I'm so proud.
Oh, so sweet. Why is this one such a big deal?
I mean, director Maggie Kang, first woman of South Korean descent to win Best Animated Feature, first K-pop song to ever win Best Original Song. And I mean, you know, this film reminded me of Frozen. It reminded me of that same sort of pop culture phenomenon where not only is the film super popular, but the music, you know, tops the charts. And just really great win, I would say, for K-pop culture, which has sort of been surging. And we've seen it at Fandango with the, you know, the different anime releases and what have you. So just a really great win. EJ has been all over award season. They performed Golden, I want to say, like 25 times this award season. So I think everybody's like, all right, I'm done hearing Golden. But there is a sequel in the works, so get ready for more hit music.
Yeah, and I love how they gave everyone the lights in the audience. So you had the lights going on during the performance, which was a lovely moment there. Okay, this was one of those moments that I love was genuine. We had a tie. And that so rarely happens. They always prepare the presenters what to say in that moment. And Kumail was ready for it to announce it. And this is only the 7th time we've had that, but talk about this.
7th time in history. This was for a live action short film, The Singers, and 2 people exchanging saliva. Probably 2 films not a lot of people saw, but they both tied. Like you said, Kumail Nanjiani, that was probably my favorite moment of his reaction to that tie. Everybody calm down, relax. We're going to get through this together. But really great moment. I mean, probably the most famous tie in history, 1969, Katharine Hepburn, Barbara Streisand tied that year. Barbara was there to accept the Oscar in person. So, but yeah, I think the last time there was a tie, I want to say 2013. So it's been a minute since this has happened.
I kind of forgot it was allowed. I was like, huh? What's going to happen? Okay, Billy Crystal gave this touching tribute to his best friend, Rob Reiner. And really just this whole segment in memoriam was pretty incredible.
Yeah, we knew this was going to be one of the more touching in memoriams in years. I mean, not only did we lose Rob Reiner in tragic fashion, Billy Crystal gave a really great sort of nod to Reiner and his career. I mean, this guy he had banger after banger for several years. And then, you know, of course, we also had Barbara Streisand speaking about Robert Redford. I thought that was a really great moment. She sang at the end there. So just a really hard year for Hollywood. A lot of losses this past year. And this was a really great moment, touching moment. Great to see Billy up there honoring Mr. Rob Wright.
I think there are a lot of questions about, with so many huge losses this last year, how they were going to handle that segment. And I thought it was very well done, actually, hearing the voices from the people who worked with them closest over time. We should ask you, this was Conan's second time hosting the event. How do you think? This is not an easy job. Remember, we went a few years where we just didn't have any hosts because no one wanted to do it. How do you think he did? What's the reviews?
I think he did great. I mean, his whole opening, dressed as Aunt Gladys from Weapons, with the kids chasing him through the Best Picture nominees, was just fantastic. Really great way to open. And that, I think, is the way you want to open an Oscar. And yeah, he was great. He had jokes that sort of were wide-ranging, you know, some of them timely, some of them about the nominees. And I just thought all around, just a really well-produced show all around. I think not only him, but the musical numbers, that Sinners number was spectacular. So I think just a well-produced show. Yeah, all around, great night.
Do you think we're like over the hump on movies and sort of a comeback post-pandemic?
I think so. People are going to the movies, you know. And we got a summer blockbuster season coming up. We have a Christopher Nolan movie, a Steven Spielberg movie. There's a Dune movie that's coming out at the end of the year. There's an Avengers movie coming. So there's a lot. Toy Story movies. There's a lot coming on the way. I think movie theaters are going to be packed for the rest of the year.
That's good to hear. Eric Davis, good to have you with us after a long night, I'm sure. Thank you. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now.
Let's begin this hour with the ongoing war with Iran. This morning, as the conflict stretches into its third week, Iran continues to threaten strikes on shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, and that is creating chaos for global markets. President Trump is calling on U.S. allies and rivals to secure that critical passageway, but so far, China, France, Japan, and South Korea are responding cautiously to the president's directive.
Let's get the latest from the Middle East from NBC News Chief Foreign Correspondent Richard Engel. Richard, good morning.
Iran is continuing to carry out attacks against Israel, including one that exploded right here. This is what one of those Iranian cluster missiles can do. The owner told me that he was standing exactly here. The alarm was going off, and he was debating whether he should go, and he decided in the last second, the last 10 seconds, to run down those stairs and go into a shelter, and it saved his life. And Iran isn't just attacking Israel. There have been strikes across the Gulf countries in Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, specifically targeting airports. Iran this morning launched new attacks, striking a fuel depot at Dubai's airport and continuing to fire on Tel Aviv, day and night. This is what a cluster bomb looks like. We filmed as it exploded and rained dozens of small bombs on the city. Iran is still firing even after non-stop U.S. and Israeli attacks, which the Pentagon described as the most intense of the war so far. Iran is sounding defiant, too.
We never asked for a ceasefire, and we have never asked even for negotiation. We are ready to defend ourselves as long as it takes.
President Trump is now threatening to cripple Iran's economy. U.S. fighter jets, after markets closed Friday, attacked Harg Island, just off the Iranian coast. The industrial island produces 90% of Iran's oil, nearly all of it exported to China. The Pentagon said it destroyed Harg's defenses. Trump said he could go further and target the oil facilities themselves. In a phone call with NBC News, Trump saying, quote, "We may hit it a few more times just for fun." Iran still has a few allies left. Hezbollah in Lebanon continued firing rockets at Israel as Israel pounds Beirut and southern Lebanon, displacing hundreds of thousands. And a pro-Iranian militia in Iraq fired this drone, filming as it hit a former U.S. base, Camp Victory in Baghdad. No American troops were there, according to a U.S. official. But American casualties are mounting. The U.S. identified the 6 crew members killed when their refueling plane crashed last week in Iraq. At least 13 Americans have been killed since the war began. The Pentagon announced it's sending more warships and around 5,000 ground troops to support this war. They include a Marine Expeditionary Unit, which specializes in beach landings. The Pentagon didn't specify what these extra ground forces would be used for.
All right, Richard, thank you.
NBC News military analyst Colonel Steve Warren joins us now with more of his expert analysis on the war with Iran. Colonel, good to have you with us. So 3 U.S. officials told NBC Friday the Pentagon deploying about 5,000 more Marines and sailors to the Middle East to support what's happening. What role could these additional forces play in the operation? And do you think we'll expect more developments in the coming days and weeks?
Right, Joe. So what the Pentagon is doing is moving a Marine Expeditionary Unit. We call it a MU. And so they're taking this MU, which is, as you said, about 5,000 total troops. About half of those are what in the military, maybe in slang words, we'd call trigger pullers, right? They're actual fighters. So these 5,000 troops, along with air support and some other assets, are moving into the Middle East. And what they bring, and this is really important, what they bring is options, right? They can do hostage rescue. They can do seize and hold a piece of terrain for a short period of time. They can do rescue operations. They can help if something happens to an embassy, they can respond to that. So they're a quick reaction force with a lot of firepower, but short term, they're a short-term outfit, not a long-term invasion force.
Colonel, this morning, Dubai International Airport, that's actually the world's busiest international airport, is temporarily suspending all flights after an Iranian drone attack sparked a fire nearby. These strikes, they come after the U.S. and Israel forces continued their barrage of attacks on Iran this weekend. But what is Iran's strategy here at this point, do you think, with their retaliatory strikes?
Savannah, that's a great question. My assessment, and this is based on what we've heard from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, and others, is that the military pressure we have applied to Iran has really reduced their capabilities, significantly. But they still have a few shots left, right? They still retain some drones. They still retain some missiles. So what I think they're doing right now is they're trying to be very strategic about how they use their few remaining capabilities. So they're firing at high-value targets, such as this airport, or such as ships. Last week, towards Thursday, Friday, we saw them strike several ships at sea and near the Straits, none in the Straits. So what they're doing is trying to use their limited remaining resources to as much effect as possible, and that's to create turmoil. I've often said that this right now is a test of wills. It's how much punishment can the Iranians withstand versus how much economic impact can the West withstand? And the Iranians are trying to throw the only thing they have left.
And Colonel, amid all that, as we head into this third week, we know President Trump is warning NATO allies they face what he says is a, quote, very bad future if they don't send warships to try and stop Iran from blocking that critical Strait of Hormuz. The president also threatened to delay his China summit if President Xi Jinping doesn't help out. Is it possible for the U.S. to open this critical route without any help at all? Even with help, it's a challenge, right?
It's certainly a challenge. The U.S. has the capability to open these straits solo. All right, we have that ability. But what's always important, and we rehearse this often with our allies and partners, we actually rehearse, we do exercises to practice doing escort operations in the Strait of Hormuz. Very specific training that we've done for many, many years. So we know how to do this. And the more friends you have, the more allies and partners you have, the smoother these things go, the easier it is. And of course, that reduces the proportional risk to Americans. So if it's only 100% American warships in the Strait, then any casualties would be American. If it's only if it's 50% American warships, that's better for our people.
All right, Colonel Warren, as always, good to have you with us. Thank you.
Well, economic fallout from the war with Iran continues to grow this morning. Oil and gas prices are surging across the country, which Energy Secretary Chris Wright warns could go on, quote, for a few more weeks. Meanwhile, President Trump is urging other countries to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz, as you just heard. NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake joins us now with more. Garrett, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. For most Americans, those rising prices at the pump are the most tangible daily signs of our nation at war. Overnight, President Trump telling reporters they'll come back down quickly when the fighting is over. But the president also said he's not yet ready to end that fighting or strike a deal with what's left of Iran's leadership to end the war, now entering its third week. As the war in Iran enters its third week, the Trump administration facing growing pressure over surging gas prices, with the average price per gallon now at $3.72, up more than 70 cents since the war began, and U.S. crude oil over $100 per barrel. The president overnight insisting the price spike is temporary.
The prices are going to come tumbling down as soon as it's over, and it's going to be over pretty quickly.
But Energy Secretary Chris Wright on Meet the Press says that relief may not come for weeks.
It is a short-term disruption in the flow of energy. Americans are feeling it right now. Americans will feel it for a few more weeks. But at the end, we will have removed the greatest risk to global energy supplies.
President Trump over the weekend posting other countries must help keep the Strait of Hormuz open, naming the UK, France, Japan, South Korea, and China as potential allies. But so far, none has suggested a willingness to send forces.
We are demanding that these countries come in and protect their own territory because it is their territory. It's a place from which they get their energy.
And in an interview Sunday, the president suggesting he may even delay his long-planned summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping if China, which gets much of its oil from Iran, doesn't aid in unblocking the strait. Republicans are largely standing by the president, saying the war will ultimately benefit the Middle East.
Everybody's so impatient right now, but within weeks, I think we can have this accomplished.
Democrats argue the war is backfiring on the U.S.
I don't think the war is worth the costs, and it has already unleashed a lot of things that should have been foreseen, like the closing of the strait, like Iran's attack on its neighbors. But it's not clear that the president had a plan for any of this.
Now, as for the president's desire to create a coalition of allies to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the early response has been less than enthusiastic. The Germans, Australians, South Koreans have all suggested they won't be participating. And just a short while ago, the British Prime Minister said he's consulting with their allies to come up with a, quote, viable plan to reopen that critical waterway. Savannah?
All right, Garrett, thank you. Well, for more on where gas prices could be headed and what drivers should expect in the coming weeks, we are joined by Matt McLean. He's petroleum analyst at Gas Buddy. Matt, good morning. So just give us the big picture right now. What are prices at in most places across the country? How big of a gap also is it between the highest and lowest price states?
Well, prices are averaging close to $3.70 per gallon across the country. We do expect prices to continue to increase from there. If you're out in the West, for an example, that's where the prices are most expensive. California, once again, taking that top spot at approaching $5.49 per gallon. Then you also have the state of Washington, Oregon, as well as places like Nevada and Arizona, which some portions of those states get their gasoline from California refineries. Where the cheapest you may find, well, that happens to be in the middle part of the country, places like North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, as well as places like Texas and even Missouri. Looking at other aspects, Florida is also on the rise as well. Now, with regard to where gas prices go, well, we just have to wait and see in the longer term. But in the short term, we are expecting prices to increase up to $3.80 a gallon. And as long as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed in its effective state, we are going to continue to see those prices at this particular level, if not a little bit higher. And that's the obvious concern for most at this point.
Just this morning, Japan announced it's starting to release oil from its emergency reserves to try and offset the impact of the Strait of Hormuz being closed. Can we expect to see more of that around the world? And just how much of an impact can tapping into those reserves have?
It's a great question. You know, there's not a lot of an impact with regard to affecting the price. You have to understand that when you have 20 million barrels of oil that's been removed from the global economy on a daily basis due to the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is, for all intents and purposes, effectively closed, you're basically trying to replace that. In other words, you're simply trying to make sure that the shortages across Asia especially don't get worse than they already are. So with regard to an impact on oil prices as far as stabilizing or pointing a trajectory down, that really doesn't seem to be in the cards with the ability of the strategic reserves across the globe in the process of releasing that particular oil. There really is no good actual alternative replacement for Middle Eastern oil and the ability of the fact that they can shell out some 20 million barrels per day to the global economy. It's very tough with the snap of a finger. In fact, it's virtually impossible to replace that on a global scale.
Do you expect gas prices to keep climbing? What should we be prepared for?
I think we need to be prepared as long as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed and this conflict continues. We need to be prepared for prices to be not only where they are right now, but potentially even higher. It's a $3.80 a gallon. That's certainly a possibility. That's another 10 to 12 cents from where we are right now. We take things on a short-term basis with conflicts because you don't know where the missiles are going to land until they land. So every day is very volatile. You have to look at, was oil infrastructure in neighboring countries impacted? If so, that could have a negative impact, obviously. There are a lot of different profound things that can long-term really create a problem when it comes to oil prices, and vice versa. Could create some good solutions as well. Unfortunately, the news for the most part over the past few weeks when it comes to oil hasn't been good news.
All right, Matt McLean, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Speaking of oil,
No
after
problem.
months of heightened tensions over oil, the U.S. and Cuba are now trying to reach a deal. Cuba is currently facing its most severe economic crisis in decades. It's getting worse because of a U.S.-imposed oil blockade that cut off supply to the island.
Cuba relies on imported oil for so much of its infrastructure, emergency services, and business networks, but the blockade has led to fuel shortages. In response, Cuban officials have been forced to cut off electricity and limit some public services.
NBC News correspondent George Solis is live in Havana, Cuba. George, good morning. So we know in an effort to try and boost their economy, Cuban officials are trying to attract more foreign investors. We just saw there you spoke with the deputy prime minister in an NBC News exclusive interview about those plans. So what did he tell you?
Hey, good morning, Joe, from Havana here. That's right. We sat down with who's essentially seen as the economic czar here in Cuba. His name is Oscar Perez Oliva Farga, and we sat down with him in this exclusive interview where he essentially says Cuba is open for business, not just to any investor, but American investors. We're talking about a possibility here of companies that you see in the States. You're talking about the Walmarts, the Targets of the world, potentially opening businesses here in Havana. Not just these companies, but also Cuban Americans, not just in Miami, but around the world. It was a lengthy interview where he really touched on some of the challenges that Cuba is facing right now, as you mentioned, with the energy blockade and, of course, the blockade that has existed here in Cuba for decades. Here's a little bit more of our dialogue.
Cuba is open to having a fluid commercial relationship with U.S. companies, also with Cubans residing in the United States and their descendants. And this extends beyond the commercial sphere. It also applies to investments, not only small investments, but also large investments, particularly in infrastructure.
Yeah, but how realistic is all of this? Well, as I mentioned, he touched on Washington's embargo here in Cuba. But we talk about the energy that is happening here, the crisis of energy here. He also quickly touched on the fact that it's been 3 months since any fuel has arrived here in Cuba. So you have people, mothers, giving birth in hospitals with no power. You have transportation that has come to a standstill. And for many Cubans that are trying to get to work, it's a system and buses that simply don't come. Joe?
George Solis reporting from Havana. George, thank you.
Now to the severe weather sweeping the country this morning. We start in North Texas, where powerful winds, blowing dust, and nearby wildfires are causing dangerous driving conditions throughout the region. Meanwhile, in Hawaii, powerful floodwaters from a Kona storm washed away a home and flooded out roads all over the island. Parts of Minnesota have been blanketed in over a foot of snow as a late winter storm is bringing blizzard conditions to much of the Great Lakes region. NBC meteorologist Andrea Romero is standing by with your complete forecast. But first, NBC meteorologist Angie Lastman has the latest from Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is currently under a blizzard warning. Angie, good morning.
Conditions ongoing in Green Bay this morning. Overnight, 50-mile-per-hour winds and heavy snow making travel nearly impossible this morning. This after the city was covered in more than a foot of snow, getting more than 17 inches, the most in 137 years.
This morning, just days before the official start of spring, a wintry blast to start the week. 30 million Americans under winter alerts. And wild weather, from blizzards to tornadoes, sweeping the country. Heavy snow in the plains and Midwest. Some areas seeing more than 2 feet. The whiteout creating challenges on the roads. Semi-trucks at a standstill amid heavy snowfall on this interstate in Wisconsin.
Middle of March almost, so I feel like we probably shouldn't be dealing with this right now.
Across the South, millions dealing with the severe weather, including tornado alerts. Drone video capturing this possible twister in Arkansas. The state also seeing dramatic storms and winds reaching over 75 miles per hour, toppling trees. And out in Texas, cars caught in the middle of a dangerous dust storm, creating a multi-vehicle pileup. While a line of showers and thunderstorms are hitting the East Coast Monday, from New York to Florida, causing a hassle on the road. In New York City, big trucks even banned from crossing bridges and tunnels Sunday due to high wind conditions. Storms also impacting air travel across the country. This morning, a ground stop announced at the nation's busiest airport in Atlanta, and thousands of delays and hundreds of cancellations over the weekend, including at Chicago O'Hare, where the FAA reported Sunday average delays of nearly 6 hours.
This massive storm system leaving its mark in more ways than one. More than 500,000 customers from New York to Texas waking up without power this morning, and millions more in the path of this system with severe storms and snow today.
All right, Angie, thank you.
More on what's ahead. Let's bring in meteorologist Andrea Romero.
Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah and Joe. And yes, this high impact early spring storm will continue to bring severe weather and blizzard conditions to parts of the country. Speaking of the severe weather, we can see this line of severe storms that are moving across mostly here, parts of the southeast, where we have these thunderstorm and tornado watches up through this afternoon. In fact, this morning we had some tornado warnings pop up all the way from Florida into Atlanta, into Georgia, parts of Georgia this morning. So we've been tracking that severe weather, and we'll continue to do so throughout the day as this threat stretches from Florida all the way up into New York State. A few strong and long track tornadoes are possible, and wind gusts of over 75 miles per hour will probably develop as these storms continue to move. It will be a fast moving squall line that will produce these intense wind gusts with widespread damaging effects because of these conditions. And of course, on the other side of the front, we do have those blizzard conditions. We continue to have a blizzard warning up for parts of Iowa into Michigan and also Wisconsin. 30 million people are impacted by these winter weather alerts. We're still expecting additional snowfall. Look at Marquette. We can still have perhaps a foot of snow today as the storm system continues to move towards the east. So the tornadic activity will be targeting the mid-Atlantic. The snow will be lingering in the Great Lakes and the Appalachians. As the storm system exits tomorrow, it will remain windy across the Great Lakes, so we could still see some of those lake effect snows likely across that part of the country. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, record high temperatures. We're talking about the potential of record temperatures extending into the central and southern plains, the Rockies, throughout the next couple of days. Look at those high temperatures Wednesday, Thursday in Arizona in the triple digits. And of course, too much of a good thing is not a good thing. And we have those heat alerts up affecting over 38 million people probably for the rest of this week.
So no one gets spring is what you're saying.
Yeah, either in summer or we're in winter, exactly.
Extremes, yikes. Thank you.
The CEOs from the nation's largest airlines are calling on Congress to fund the Department of Homeland Security. TSA workers have been on the job without pay for more than a month now. That's leading to long security lines at many airports across the country. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has the latest from Washington. Tom, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. So all of this, of course, with a very busy spring break travel season underway. Last Friday was the second busiest air travel day of the year in terms of passengers. It was also the day the TSA officers missed a full paycheck after missing a partial paycheck earlier in the year. And now they really have no idea when they will be made whole.
This morning, the nation's airlines are turning up the heat on Congress as the TSA's 50,000 employees remain on the job and without pay. In a letter to lawmakers, the CEOs of the major carriers called the $0 paycheck that TSA officers received Friday simply unacceptable, and warned that the failure to fund the Department of Homeland Security comes as airlines expect a record 171 million passengers this spring season. Since the partial shutdown began, hundreds of TSA officers have quit, as call-out rates have also increased significantly.
How is morale right now?
It's degrading. We're not red, we're not blue, we're not partisan, we're red, white, and blue. We're Americans. We protect the American traveler.
From Florida to Illinois, Georgia to Texas, staffing shortages are contributing to extremely long waits. In Oakland, California, a local food bank has been delivering groceries to TSA workers whose salaries start at about $35,000 to $45,000, compared with most members of Congress who start at 5 times that amount, and continue to hold up DHS funding over disagreements on reforms to ICE policing tactics.
I will not approve another dollar for ICE, given all that they're doing. But we should be funding those TSA agents that keep us safe.
Well, we can get to a better place if they would just come to their senses and negotiate after they open it up.
President Trump on Sunday posting support for those going in, writing in part, "Go to work."
They're working hard. They're up to, I don't think any of us would go to work if we knew we weren't going to get paid.
For many TSA officers, it's all very discouraging.
Do you keep this job? Are you better off flipping burgers where you know you're going to get a paycheck?
One important note here, when they missed 3 paychecks last fall, they didn't get their back pay until a month after the shutdown ended. It's not just, by the way, not just TSA right now, it's also the Coast Guard, FEMA, and U.S. Cybersecurity Command all working without a pay. Joe?
All right, Tom, thank you.
We've got much more to come on this Monday edition of Morning News Now, including a full rundown of Selection Sunday as all the excitement of March Madness kicks into high gear this week.
First, though, after the break, Hollywood's biggest night once again did not disappoint with a history-making slate of Academy Award winners, surprises, even get this, a tie. So if you missed it, we'll relive some of the magic next.
Welcome back. Let's get to Hollywood's biggest night as the 98th Academy Awards were held in Los Angeles. One battle after another was the big winner, taking home 6 trophies, including the coveted Best Picture, Best Director, and the inaugural Best Casting Award.
But it wasn't a clean sweep. The most nominated movie in Oscars history, Sinners, won in 4 categories, including Best Actor and Cinematographer. It was also a big night for K-pop. Golden, the hit song from K-pop Demon Hunters, became the first K-pop song ever to win both a Grammy and an Oscar, and that movie won Best Animated Feature. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Molas is in Los Angeles and joins us with a recap. Chloe, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Savannah. Oh, my gosh, what a night. The stars of the silver screen, they were ready for their golden night. And like you said, although one battle after another did take home the top prize of the evening, it was not a full sweep. The vampire horror film Sinners took a bite out of some big categories.
One battle after another.
Overnight, it was one Oscar after another. With 6 Academy Awards, one battle after another, winning the most of the night, including Best Picture.
Let's have a martini. This is pretty amazing.
The show led by host Conan O'Brien.
And I'm honored to be the last human host of the Academy Award. Yes! Yeah! Next year, it's going to be a Waymo and a Tux.
Filled with veteran stars. But the top acting prizes went to first-time winners. Michael B. Jordan earning Best Actor for his dual role in Sinners.
I know you guys want me to do well, and I want to do that because you guys bet on me.
Later, even celebrating while picking up some burgers. A fellow first statue for Jessie Buckley, who played Shakespeare's wife in Hamnet.
I would like to dedicate this
to the beautiful chaos of a mother's heart.
In the supporting categories, Sean Penn took home his third Oscar, though not in attendance, while Amy Madigan ran away with her first for her wild part in Weapons.
He's got this little gold guy.
Sinners. In a history-making moment, Autumn Durald Archipel became the first woman to win the Academy Award for cinematography.
I really want all the women in the room to stand up, because I feel like I don't get here without you guys.
And a Devil Wears Prada-inspired collab between Anne Hathaway and the real-life Miranda Priestly, Anna Wintour.
Anna, just curious, what do you think of my dress tonight?
And the nominees are...
It was a golden night for K-pop Demon Hunters. It's now Oscar-winning smash hit lighting up the stage as the film took home Best Animated Feature.
This is for Korea and for Koreans everywhere.
But emotion swelled as Hollywood remembered those it's lost, including Catherine O'Hara and Diane Keaton. Barbra Streisand sang The Way We Were to honor co-star Robert Redford, while Rob Reiner's collaborators took the stage alongside Billy Crystal, who paid tribute to his friend.
All we can say is, buddy, what fun we had storming the castle.
Gosh, just so well done. What a great moment there. Chloe, we do also want to ask you about this other, the new category, Best Casting. It made its debut last night. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, casting directors are the unsung heroes typically behind the scenes of these films, right? Like, how do you have these incredible films without finding your stars? And so last night, Cassandra Koulakundis, who cast One Battle After Another, she was the first to win in this category. And obviously, One Battle After Another took home the top prize of Best Picture last night. It won other categories as well, including Paul Thomas Anderson for Best Director. And again, who doesn't love Tiana Taylor, Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro in that movie? So it was a category that we're going to see now for years to come, guys.
Also, Chloe, there was a tie last night, only the 7th time in Oscars history. Tell us more about that.
Okay, Joe, this was in the short film category, and everybody was sort of looking at each other, and immediately I started to be like, wait, has this ever happened before? And I Googled on my phone, and yes, this is the 7th time that it's happened. The two films that won are The Singers, and the other movie is called The Two People Exchanging Saliva. Yes, that is the title of the film, but they handled it like pros, and I want to give you a fun fact. This also happened in 1969 in the Best Actress category between Katharine Hepburn and Barbra Streisand. I had no idea that they tied that year, guys.
History unfolding, and Kumail Nanjiani nailed it. He says, ironically, the longest part of the evening was for the short film category. So double the speeches. All right,
Funny.
Chloe, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Coming up, a Silicon Valley darling now forced to foot a hefty federal fee.
After the break, the massive DOJ settlement that's now got Adobe agreeing to front millions of dollars over claims its subscriptions were too hard to cancel. We've got more on that next.
Back now, the closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with a defeat for the Justice Department in its case against Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz has that and more. Megan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, let's start off with that major decision by a judge to block subpoenas that the Justice Department served to Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell in January. The judge wrote in a court filing that, quote, a mountain of evidence suggests that the government served these subpoenas on the board to pressure its chair into voting for lower interest rates or resigning. The Federal Reserve declined to comment on the judge's order, and Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for D.C., said that the Justice Department would appeal the decision. Let's go next to Texas, where Senator John Cornyn and State Attorney General Ken Paxton are locked in a high-stakes runoff campaign. President Trump said in an interview with NBC's Kristen Welker that he thinks he'll make a decision over who to endorse in the next week. He said that a lot of his decision will have to do with the Save America Act, which would reshape elections if that's passed. Now, remember last week, Corden reversed his stance on the filibuster and said that he'd support Senate rule changes in order to pass the bill. President Trump said that he thought either candidate could win, pushing back on critics of Paxton's electability. Let's go next to the Kennedy Center, which is getting a leadership shakeup. That's because Trump ally Rick Grenell is stepping down as head. Now, President Trump said in a post to Truth Social that Matt Floca, the vice president of the Kennedy Center's facilities operations, would take over the role. Now, also over the weekend, a federal judge ruled that a Democratic lawmaker who's on the center's board must be allowed to participate in a meeting today about the plans to temporarily close the center for renovations. The judge argued that Representative Joyce Beatty faced the risk of irreparable harm if the court did not intervene. And that's a look at what's making news in politics this morning. Joe?
All right, Megan, thank you so much. Appreciate it. As the conflict in the Middle East continues, China is offering a new show of support for its ally, Iran. Over the weekend, the country donated $200,000 in humanitarian aid to Iran's Red Crescent Society. That money will support parents in the region who've lost their children in that strike on an elementary school. That amount of money is really just a drop in the bucket for a global superpower. But overall, China's response has been relatively muted. As NBC News International correspondent Janice Mackey-Freyer reports, Beijing is watching it all play out as it prepares for a high-stakes visit from President Trump.
As bombs keep dropping across the Middle East, China carried on with the big political meetings it has every year, rolling out the country's growth targets and policies, signaling to the rest of the world about where China is at and where it's heading.
The messaging here is all about stability, that China and its leader Xi Jinping can manage a slowing economy in an uncertain world, as well as an unpredictable U.S. president.
The meetings are tightly choreographed, the decisions predetermined. The war didn't factor into China's plans.
Could the war in Iran affect economic targets for China?
Any disturbance anywhere in the world is against the United Nations Charter is obviously something that it's of a concern.
The war in Iran complicates the scenario for China. As the world's largest importer of oil and gas, China gets nearly 40% of its supply of crude oil from Gulf countries. And it comes through the Strait of Hormuz, and it buys nearly all of Iran's oil exports at a heavy discount.
China has significant oil reserves, but its energy security is connected to Iran. According to marine data, some commercial ships are identifying as China-owned or China-linked to avoid being targeted by Iran if they try to pass through the waterway.
Iran itself is exporting oil at almost a record high. These security threats aren't disrupting Iranian oil exports. So China is still getting, the oil that's coming from Iran at this point.
It doesn't pertain to us so much as it does to China.
President Trump has said the U.S. would help keep the Strait of Hormuz open as a gift to China.
And it's my honor to do it.
Iran is China's ally and a strategic partner. In the relatively benign language they're using, criticizing the strikes, like saying this is a war that benefits nobody, suggests officials here are focused on keeping the oil flowing from the Gulf. As with U.S. intervention in Venezuela, there's growing concern that more U.S. military involvement could spur China to take bigger action too, like in Taiwan. It's something President Trump has dismissed. And interestingly, since the start of the Iran war, China has slowed aircraft drills around the island. Nobody knows exactly why. It could be because China also seems intent on keeping President Trump's upcoming visit to Beijing on track. At his annual news conference, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi said the agenda of high-level exchanges is already on the table, describing this as a big year for U.S.-China relations.
But with less than 3 weeks before President Trump is scheduled to visit China, there is uncertainty looming over the summit here, mainly around what the leaders will talk about.
The problem, according to sources and headlines here, is a lack of details from the White House about the agenda. A U.S. planning team is in Beijing, but Chinese officials are said to be anxious about finalizing every point in advance.
It has to be now a new balance and a new equilibrium. So I think that new equilibrium has been established now.
President Trump said last month that his visit to China would be a wild one. If it happens, it's sure to be grandiose, with pomp and pageantry, but a lot that can dampen the mood, too. Janice Mackey-Freyer, NBC News, Beijing.
Coming up, Team USA leaving Milan Cortina with one more gold to go. The 2026 Paralympic Games came to a triumphant close yesterday with a sled hockey clinic that sent our neighbors to the north back home with silver. We're wrapping up yet another golden year of Olympic glory next. Back now with some money news. Adobe is slated to cough up millions in cash over claims it made its subscriptions hard to cancel. NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch is here with your Money Minute. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning, Joe. That's right. $75 million to the Department of Justice and another $75 million worth of services for free to customers who qualify. That's after the company settled with the DOJ to put a lawsuit regarding its subscription practices to bed. The company says it disagrees with the government's claims and denies any wrongdoing, but it's pleased to resolve this issue. And look out, Amazon. Chinese e-commerce giant JD.com is expanding in Europe with the launch of its online shopping platform Joybuy. The service is now in 6 countries, including the UK and Germany, and will offer products from technology and appliances to beauty and grocery. The company says it will provide fast delivery and direct sales from major brands. The question is whether it can stand out from Chinese rivals and stand up against Amazon. And is it just the boo-boos, or will people become obsessed with other Pop Mart collectibles too? That's the big question now for the Chinese toy company. Toys like Twinkle Twinkle, Skull Panda, and Crybaby are selling out quickly and even commanding premiums on resale platforms. So all eyes now are on Pop Mart to see if it's more than a one-hit wonder and if it can compete long-term with global brands like the Walt Disney Company. Now, Joe, for something that's supposed to be cute, I actually think these make a lot more sense for a little plushie.
Okay.
Monsters really never made sense to me. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I actually
like
think
cute
these
monsters,
are cute.
So yeah, that's
with
good.
the teeth and everything. So I have a bit more hope for these.
It's either more options for parents or more reasons for parents to be frustrated trying to find them. We'll see how that all pans out.
Touche.
Right, thanks, Emily. All right, now to Italy, where the Winter Paralympics wrapped after 10 days of incredible moments and medals. Team USA ended the games with a statement win, taking gold in men's sled hockey over rival Canada and extending their dynasty with a 5th straight Paralympic title. It was one of 24 medals for Team USA at these games. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda was there for the action and joins us from Milan. Buongiorno, Emily. So first, take us inside that sled hockey final, the U.S. and Canada rivalry. We call it a heated rivalry. Never disappoints. So describe the atmosphere when Team USA clinched that 5th straight gold.
Buongiorno to you, Joe. It was nothing short of absolutely exhilarating when the buzzer sounded and Team USA secured the win. You could see the players just piling on top of each other. People broke out into chanting USA, USA, and it was a history-making game on a number of fronts. Firstly, it is the 5th gold that they secured in a row at the Paralympic Games. The team captain, Josh Pauls, he's been a part of every single one of those Team USA sled hockey teams. They also set a record for attendance at a sled hockey game. More than 9,000 people had packed into the arena for this gold medal match, of course, against long-standing rival Canada. And then also you consider it marks an unprecedented sweep of hockey between the Olympics, with the men's and women's team bringing home gold, and then the Paralympics. Some of the Olympians actually sent messages to the team wishing good luck, like Jack Hughes and Hillary Knight, ahead of the game, and everyone was cheering in support when they brought home that important medal. Jack Wallace, one of the standouts on the ice, he scored not 1, not 2, but 3 goals. He got a hat trick in this gold medal match. And remember, he's a star defensive player. And then Declan Farmer, who has just been an absolute force throughout the entire games. He was voted back-to-back Paralympic MVP. It has been described that he has a magnet in his hockey stick because he always manages to have the puck, put it in the right place. He's also been described as the Tom Brady of sled hockey, Joe.
That is awesome, and love to see the whole hockey community coming together and rallying for the sled hockey team. We know overall Team USA taking home 24 medals. So walk us through, and you've been doing that over the past couple of weeks, but what moments make up the team's highlight reel, and who are the standout athletes?
24 medals, 13 of those gold. So we really love to see that. We saw a lot of success on the slopes in Tesoro and also in the Dolomites near Cortina and para snowboarding, bag slalom. Both Noah Elliott and Mike Schultz proved to be double trouble, both making the podium as teammates. Noah Elliott, you may remember back in Beijing, he missed the podium because he was competing on a compound fracture. So he's been calling this his redemption games, and he won not only silver but also a gold. Mike Schultz, another American, he brought home bronze in his final run before retiring from professional snowboarding. By the way, Mike Schultz, he's one of the athletes. He has been building and designing prosthetics that the vast majority of his competitors use to compete on, not just U.S. Americans, but also you look at the Japanese boarder who was also on the podium as well across the Paralympics. So really cool there. And then, of course, I got to give a shout out Oksana Masters bringing home 4 golds, Joe.
She is incredible. All right, Emily, thank you so much. And of course, Paralympic Summer and Winter Games and the Olympic Winter Games Summer Games coming up 2.5 years in LA. All right, coming up from Italy's Cortina straight to the court back home. It's officially March Madness season, ushered in by Selection Sunday. So get those brackets ready because we're tipping you off to all the fan favorites, the comeback kids, and of course, those Cinderella stories that could make or break your precious picks. That is next on Morning News Now. For some more bracketology this morning, joined by the host of Front Office Sports Today, friend of the show, Baker Machado. Good to have you with us. I need your help here. I haven't been following college basketball terribly closely this year, so you're going to have to help me with my bracket.
That's why I'm here.
Let's talk about the men first.
Okay.
What are you looking at here? Who are the favorites?
Look, all the number 1 seeds. Last year, we had all number 1 seeds make the Final Four. Kind of anticlimactic last year, but you see Florida, the reigning the reigning champions, once again this year as one of the number 1 seeds. By the way, all the attention at Duke. They're basically the favorites so far of all the teams. Arizona's had a really good year, but Arizona has not made past the Sweet 16 in over a decade. So something to think about when you look at your bracket this year.
All right, let's look at the women's side. The UConn Huskies, of course, if you're talking about women's basketball, you're talking about UConn. Number 1 seed, undefeated this year. They won last year. Can anyone stop them?
The answer, Joe, is really no.
Okay.
It's UConn, maybe UCLA. Those 2 teams together went 65-1 this year, and they have the best 2 players in women's basketball in Sarah Strong and Lauren Betts. But really, it's all UConn. UConn likely the favorite to win the entire bracket once again this year off the dominating performance that they had winning it last year. So pretty much it's UConn, maybe UCLA, maybe Texas, but that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah. All right. So we'll see. But you never know. You never know. That's
true,
the beauty
of
it. So speaking of you never know, the question is who's going to be the dark horse? Last year, there wasn't one, as you mentioned, because it was all number 1 seeds. The odds of that repeating probably seem slim. Now, I suppose if you knew who that was, it wouldn't be a dark horse or a Cinderella. But are there any teams people are keeping an eye on?
There are just a couple of them. And by the way, I want to let everybody know, last year, no team 6 or higher made the Elite 8 last year. So we're getting less and less of these Cinderella teams every single year. But a couple ones to keep an eye on this year. Everybody's watching Santa Clara, number 10 seed. This is the first time they've made the tournament in 30 years. The last time they made it was Steve Nash was on that roster. Number 11 seed VCU and number 11 South Florida. Those are the teams really that everybody's watching here, but otherwise it's going to be 1s, 2s, and maybe a couple 3 seeds. A lot of people watching right now, Purdue, Houston, UConn. If a number 1 seed doesn't win it, maybe one of those teams are the ones that take it.
Feels like that's a change in college basketball. Like the top teams have just become more dominant.
It's because of this NIL environment now that we have where the best players are going to the best schools. And remember last year, 14 teams from the SEC made it last year. Only 10 made it this year, but they're coming down to earth just a little bit, but it just continues to show the dominance of these power conferences.
All right, of course, no one's going to have a perfect bracket. No. Spoiler alert, we know that's not going to happen.
If you do call me, please.
But you do want to win your pool.
Yes.
What are the best strategies?
Really, the best strategies right now are the 8 and 9 seeds, the 6 and 11 seeds, and the 7 and 10 seeds. Those are usually the areas, if we see an upset, Joe, it's going to be one of those. It's very rarely going to be a 1 or a 2 or a 3. So some of the matchups I'm watching right now, number 10 UCF versus number 9 number 7 UCLA, a big one. As I mentioned, number 10 Santa Clara could be a big surprise against number 7 Kentucky. Utah State, number 9 against number 8 Villanova could be a big upset team there. And the last one, number 11 VCU versus number 5 North Carolina. A lot of people have that one circled on their brackets
5 versus 12 one.
Exactly.
He's saying maybe.
Maybe.
Possibly.
There's a chance. There's a chance.
Don't blame Baker.
No.
It doesn't happen. Baker Machado, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But stay with us. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.